Welcome back to Revive Life. If you're just joining us now, it's perfect timing because we're now in the kitchen talking about foods for an eco and healthy friendly wedding. With so many menu options and nowadays allergies, it's important to offer foods that are visually beautiful, but also foods that make you feel good. Another Revive tip. Enjoy a refreshing layered smoothie as your great way to welcome your guests as they arrive and give them the opportunity to refresh and restore before the party begins. Also ensure that you have a non-alcoholic option ready and available. For example, water with fresh lemons and mint offers a simple beverage for anyone. Visit Revivelife or energivefood.com for this recipe and other recipe ideas. Today, we are going to be looking at beautiful cake options, and we have two great guests. We have Mandy Loonan, and we're from Auntie Loo's, right? Yes, Cakes and Treats. And we also have Kate Vino, who is our master chef, correct?
I guess.
Yes. So we have such beautiful things in front of us. Can you share with us this cake here? What was the inspiration behind this cake?
This cake actually was inspired by the color of the ribbon. I found the ribbon at a craft shop and just loved the color.
Yeah,
and it grew from there. It was just, it screamed peacock to me. So I wanted to pull that in. And I know peacocks have been making a play into a lot of different areas of weddings lately with peacock feathers and just the color scheme. So I wanted to do something that was fun but still classy and traditional.
I love it.
Yeah, that's
it's
how
very
it was born.
Simple but classy.
Yes, thank you.
Now a cake like this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers.
Yep.
How long does it take you to make a cake like that?
This cake in particular took longer than normal because I had to individually make each feather that is on the peacock's tail. So each feather was a step of its own. It took a process of over a week of parts and pieces, putting each part together. So it took a while.
And I think the big feature about what Auntie Loo's does is that this cake is vegan. It's dairy-free and it's egg-free.
Yeah.
Now, by making that choice, again, you're helping people with allergies. Do these cakes taste different?
I think that with any vegan baking, you should always approach it with like an open mind.
Yes.
However, 80% of our clientele aren't vegan, aren't even really that interested in us being a vegan bakery.
No.
They just like to come for awesome treats, and that's generally the principle that we play into.
Okay, it tastes good first, and then it happens to be good for you.
Exactly, exactly.
We always think that you shouldn't sacrifice the taste of your cake just to have it look good. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, if somebody needs to make that selection, do these cakes cost more because they're allergy sensitive or aware?
Not necessarily. It all depends on the design of the cake. We don't. We have premium ingredients in each cake that we do, so the cost does reflect that, but at the same time you're reflecting the cost of the actual design and the work and the time that goes into it. So it's on par with the other wedding cake designers around town and stuff. We don't
It's a long time to
make
a cake like this.
Yeah.
And we were chatting, and I love the concept of the fact that everything that you see that's colored, you were sharing with us that the colorings that you use are natural. So what do you use?
In some cases, the colorings we use are natural. Obviously, we can't make blue from anything natural. But we'll never ever use an artificial colorant without letting you know first.
Okay, so brides have a choice.
Exactly. So if you do want us to use natural colorants, we use things like turmeric for yellow. Chlorophyll drops from health food stores make a beautiful green. We can use beet juice, berry juice, all that kind of thing to make purples and pinks and that kind of thing.
That's a great tip. So if you're making, I know as a mom, you make Play-Doh for your kids. And if you are, then that might be a great option in terms of coloring.
Absolutely.
Because of course kids eat everything.
But we'll never put artificial colorants in your products without telling you first.
So we're going to have fun in the kitchen today, and these are beautiful flowers. We are going to be making them.
Yes,
so what do we do in order to make them?
So first we start with a cone shape. That's going to be the basis of the rose. These are made out of a gum paste, which is quite like fondant. It's a sugar paste that dries very hard, so that you're not going to have something that, you'll see. It dries very hard so that it's sturdy and stable for when you put it on your wedding cake. So we're going to make one today, and this has actually been colored using cherry juice. So this is a natural color that we've got here.
Beautiful color.
Thank you. So first we're going to knead it a little bit just to soften it up, makes it easier to work with and a little bit more pliable.
And could you make this in advance?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You make it in advance, actually, usually overnight, because the colors will darken the longer you leave it. So if you color it and then leave it, put it on a wedding cake before knowing what the color is going to be, it can sometimes turn out a little darker than what you originally intended.
May I ask, is this a candle?
No, it's a rolling pin.
It's like a candle.
Yeah, no. It's just a rolling
It's
pin.
okay. I thought that too the first time I saw it.
Yeah. No, it's a special rolling pin that makes sure it's not going to stick to the board. You can see it's easily removed, but if I rolled it out on this surface, it wouldn't work. It would be a very fiddly. So yeah, so we've rolled that out.
Okay.
And we're going to cut out our first one. This is a quick and easy rose. If you're going to do something a lot more detailed, it would have a lot more steps, but this is just our quick and simple one.
Okay. And so all you do is you just use this mold and it creates this beautiful daisy looking flower.
Yeah. But it will turn into a rose momentarily.
Okay, very good. Now, while we're going through this process, I know that, I'm looking at the size of this cake and I'm thinking, how do you transport this without having a problem? What's a funny story?
Very, very slowly. The one story that I always think back to, probably our most nerve-wracking ride, was up to the Museum of Art, where we were doing a wedding there for like one of the most lovely couples. And it was hands down the biggest cake we'd done until at that point. Actually, we have a picture of it right here in our album.
Yeah.
And the thing that was so impressive about this cake, this pink and purple one right here.
Okay.
The thing that was so impressive about that cake was that not only because of the layers, all of the flowers you see on that, they're all made out of sugar. They're as delicate as eggshells. Ooh. So we were transporting that up in 2 cars. Kate was in one and my father and I were in another. And as we turned onto Sussex, this was in the middle of the summer, we completely forgot that it was construction. So all of a sudden we hit the gravel and my dad and I are going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And my cousin was behind us because she was down helping out at the bakery for a few weeks. She was behind us in the car with Kate and we were like, oh, I wonder what Kate's thinking right now.
I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
Yeah, but needless to say, the cake made it there perfectly intact and it was beautiful and very well received. And we heard back from the couple and they were just so happy with it. We had a great time doing that cake.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I noticed in the photograph as well that there's cupcakes around the cake. Is that new? I know that when I was getting married, we just had the cake.
Yeah, a lot of people are opting for cake and cupcake combinations, just so that way it's a little bit, once we've done the cutting of the cake, your guests can even just come up and just grab a cupcake if they'd like
That's
to.
fun too, and especially if there's kids at the wedding, that's a really great option.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so what are we doing?
So we've moved on to the next step here. We've just thinned out the paste a little to make it a little bit more lifelike, and we're just going to lift them up and wrap them around the cone to make each individual petal. The first 2 have to be wrapped around quite tightly. Just if you look at a rose, usually the middle is
really tight.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Now, does this require a lot of practice? Can anybody do this?
It does require practice. It requires patience.
Practice and patience are 2 different things.
I learned flour making before I learned cakes when I was living in England. So that's my first and foremost passion, is making sugar flowers. So I taught myself the cake part mostly after learning how to make the flowers individually. So it was an extension of sugar art.
Okay. And typically, now would a bride attempt to do this on her own, or this is just us demonstrating how you would do it for the bride?
Well, I imagine that most brides, I imagine most brides probably wouldn't want to worry about having to make sugar flowers right before their wedding. But it's something. It is fun and it is personal, and it's something that they would have their own touch on. So they could learn themselves if they so wished.
That's beautiful. And these again would go on top of a cake, or how else could you use them as decorations?
We actually sometimes will have people who, if they have allergies to flowers, can request sugar flowers for a bouquet.
Good
and I can also make them out of a cold water porcelain, which is not edible, but it's not toxic. So it's something that they could make and actually keep for later after the wedding.
What a fabulous idea. A great keepsake, and then also again fitting or in keeping with somebody with allergies.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. These are so beautiful, and the cake is just stunning. I can't stop looking at it.
Thank you.
You're very, very creative.
Thank you.
So if you're looking for a beautiful and healthy option for a wedding cake, be sure and visit Mandy and Kate at Auntie Loo's Treats and Cakes and Treats. So thank you so much, and why don't we try some of our shooters here?
Sounds great.
Yeah. Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we go. Cheers. I'm going to take off my... Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Okay, fabulous.